For 4 long years, they've said this update was coming. For 4 long years, I've waited to say these words. And finally, I can. Because, ladies and gentlemen, this is my beginner's guide to the foraging update. Hello random people on the internet, my name is Banana, and yes, the foraging update has finally graced the Hypixel Skyblock servers since being announced in 2021. Legitimately, we have had to wait 4 full years for this update, but it's finally here, and it is on 1.21.5. So if you're playing on 1.8.9, like 99% of Skyblock players before the foraging update, you gotta change versions. You gotta play on the new version, because there's a lot of new things that are being done on the foraging island that definitely make it worth going into this modern version. We got new mobs, new blocks, new mechanics, so many things that are actually being used here, and it's very promising for the future of foraging. But before we talk about the future of foraging, I just want to remind you guys that if you use code BANANA on the Hypixel store, you get 5% off of any purchase that you make on there, including ranks, gems, and anything else that you're purchasing on the store. And I get a little bit of a kickback, so it's a win-win for both of us. Code BANANA is the best. Thank you if you use it. I'm gonna get this out of the way right now. This is not a super endgame island by any means. If you have literally never foraged in your life, you can be pretty much on par with most of the people on this island within a couple hours. Mine is just like your fortune not being as high as someone who has foraging 50. Also, there's basically only one thing that requires an insane amount of coins on this island, and it's the best foraging pet in the game. Beyond that, there's not like insane axes or insane armor to go for yet, because this is actually island 1 out of 3. We are under the belief that 2 and 3 will take a lot less time to come out than the first one did. But hey, who knows? These don't even say coming soon. It says coming TM. So they are coming. They will have presumably some more endgame stuff to actually do, but this island itself has some really cool mechanics for foraging and also introduces us to the new hunting skill, which is definitely what I would say is the bulk of this update, surprisingly. Whenever you get to the island and talk to this NPC, you're going to get a decent quest that's going to give you a general beginner's guide to basically every mechanic on here. The NPCs on this island are very useful when it comes to just learning information. If you talk to Swoop, he has 4 different tabs here that are going to teach you about the multiple mechanics that are tied to foraging. So what he basically teaches you about is the new stat that's called Sweep. Sweep is going to increase your ability to break more logs at once. Each tree is going to have a different toughness against sweep, so it's not going to be like a flat amount. But the higher the sweep you have, the more logs you're going to break, no matter what tree you are hitting. And it's just going to basically be how Tree Capitator worked, but as a game-wide mechanic on every single axe. There's also going to be throwing the axe, which nerfs your sweep a little bit, but there are ways to negate that. In the new Heart of the Forest, one of the abilities is Axe Toss, which makes it so you have no penalty for 10 seconds whenever you use that. And then there is also an ultimate enchant that you can drop while you are foraging, and that is going to be called Missile, which is going to reduce that penalty by 50% just all the time. And that's definitely the better of the 2 ultimate enchants that exist. There's this one as well that increases sweep, but you'll see once you start playing the update that 15 sweep is basically nothing. So this isn't going to be that useful overall. I just mentioned it, but there is Heart of the Forest. This is just them bringing Heart of the Mountain from mining into foraging. It's pretty simple. If you've ever done mining before, you know exactly how this tree works. You're going to have a bunch of different buffs that are going to help you forage even better. You're going to have very similar ones to mining as well. Like Foraging Madness is in the exact same spot as Mining Madness is, and then Lottery is in the same spot that Sky Mall was, and these are like the same perks as the ones on the mining tree. So generally, it's going to be a one-to-one translation on how much knowledge you're going to need, because you basically know everything if you know how Heart of the Mountain works. So there's Heart of the Forest, there's new mechanics for foraging, and then the other main thing that foraging itself has is Agatha. This is going to be the equivalent of Jacob for farming, because she is going to have foraging contests. The difference in her foraging contest compared to Jacob, though, is that she has set brackets. So you need 1,500 points in order to get legendary. You don't need to be top 1%, or you're not competing against other players, I guess I should say in here. And the way that you get these points is by doing basically anything on the island. You're going to see cutting trees gives you some, hunting creatures gives you some, fishing gives you some, combat gives you some, gathering resources gives you some. In general, getting these points and getting up to legendary is not going to be that hard. These contests run every 20 minutes. It is going to be something that is constantly going. It's not like a farming contest where you have to wait 40 minutes after each contest. But that means that you gotta always be foraging. You gotta always be going, because you need to level up Agatha in order to unlock some of the stuff in the game. Because Agatha's milestone is going to level up every single time you complete a contest. It's going to level up by, I want to say, the amount of tickets you get is how it works. So in this last one, you get 30 coupons, which means that I believe when you finish a legendary contest, you get like 30 milestone. It's something along those lines. So you need to hit milestone 5 in order to be able to purchase the Jade Dragon, which is the best foraging pet in the game, which is on this island. It's definitely the main goal of the island, is getting the Jade Dragon, and the only way to do that is to unlock an item that you can purchase in Agatha's shop at Agatha milestone 5. So you're going to be sitting here for like 20 hours doing contests, because that's what you got to do. You have to hit milestone 5 in order to actually purchase this thing. When it comes to doing contests efficiently, there are a couple ways to go about it. One way that people do, which literally requires just an aspect of the void, is going to be you breaking these berries that are around and just getting these, because it, for some reason, scales so much better than anything else does. Just tree gifts, sea creatures, nothing comes close to just being able to walk around and hit these berries. There's no fortune requirement because they give like a set amount. There's no gear requirement. You literally just need to walk around and break these. I find that to be pretty boring, so I will typically do a route where I am solo and just doing trees until you get the tree gift, which you get whenever you finish a tree. And then I will also include getting the berries in there. And then I like including a little bit of hunting with it too, because you are going to get some creatures that spawn in passively. So you're going to get the ones that spawn where it's like phantoms whenever you're doing trees. And then there's also from the berry bushes, I'm trying to see if I can just find one right now. There's little like tadpole guys. These guys, they spawn from berry bushes, and I just like carrying around a fishing net and grabbing them while I am doing this route. If you do something like this where you include berry bushes and just do like the shorter trees solo, you are very easily able to get legendary basically every single time that you do a contest. You can also do a like 2-man contest where you're doing the bigger trees with someone else. I find that 2 people is generally where you want to be at, because from what I've seen, you need like 33% of a tree to get the tree gift, which means that you would need to be perfect with 3 people, whereas with 2 people, you can both just break over 40-50%, and you will be all set. So these big trees do give better tree gifts that will contribute to your Agatha contest better. Outside of that, there is hunting on the island, which I said earlier is the main portion of this update, and that's because there's 174 attributes in the game now, and you gotta be able to hunt creatures and siphon shards and do a bunch of stuff that you previously weren't doing in the game in order to get max stats and max XP. As mentioned earlier, the NPCs on the island are really good for just guides on how to do stuff. This guy, David Hunterborough, you'll be introduced to in the early quest. He has guides on all of the tools, so you're going to know where to get each of these tools. You're going to know what to do with each of these tools. And then there's also going to be the hunting lessons that tell you about shards, attributes, attribute levels, everything about that. And then the David's Cloak menu is going to basically guide you through how to max out this brand new best cloak in the game. Currently, mine is only epic and not that good, but you can get this thing with some insane stats, mainly being sweep. If you unlock a bunch of unique attributes, you can get a lot of sweep very early on. So I would focus on unlocking some of the unique ones so that you can actually max this out and have a huge advantage when it comes to cutting trees. If you do /AM, it opens the attribute menu. And once you have 30 attributes in here, which a lot of people should just have off rip on the update, if you've played a lot of like, pre-foraging update Skyblock, you just convert your old attributes at this guy or with the attribute transfer menu in the AM. You go in here and then you can activate advanced mode once you have 30 of them. And advanced mode is going to show you every attribute, even the ones you don't have unlocked. And then you can click into attributes and see how to get them. So Yogg membrane, if I didn't know what a Yogg was, I would click in here and it would say catch a Yogg with a pocket black hole or kill it while using salts. So that's going to be how you get that one. Or if I wanted to get this Tadgang shard, I click in here and you can see there's a lot of options for doing this because there's a new sea creature called the Tadgang that you can kill with either the black hole or using a salt. You can get that, or you can place traps in the water and possibly get it there. So it's going to be something that is very useful to just look in here and click and figure out where to get stuff. Like fusing a cave dweller family with the combat family is going to be able to get you this mountain climber one, which helps with Heart of the Mountain, which is useful for a lot of people who are not Heart of the Mountain 10. This attribute menu is very, very straightforward when it comes to telling you where to get things. Literally, place traps in this area or obtain it from pandas. That's how you get strong arms. I find that placing the hunt traps in the water is generally pretty useful. That Tadgang shard that I was looking at earlier in the attribute menu is very good. This gives you sweep for each common attribute that you own. So whenever you're leveling this up, you're going to get a bunch of sweep from it overall if you have a bunch of common attributes. So I've been just placing my hunt traps down in the water, and you do have to pick them up, but you can pick them up remotely, and then you just have to go replace them. Depending on the rarity of your hunt trap, it takes like an hour for the small hunt traps to catch something, and it will take less and less time the higher the rarity you get that thing once you are crafting that from the collection. So definitely place the traps towards whatever attributes you're going for. There are different trap spots that are going to get you different attributes, so definitely, as I said, look in that menu. But you can also just have a basic fishing net on you at all times because there's a lot of things that you can just catch in front of you. You can run multiple hunt tools in your inventory whenever you're foraging. There's kind of not a need to have a lot of your inventory slots filled whenever you're running around here. You basically only need a fig stone splitter or your tree cap or whatever you're going to have axe-wise. So you can fill it with a fishing net, you can have a lasso, and you can have a black hole just so you're fully set up for anything that is going to spawn in front of you. And you can interact with hunting as much or as little as you really want. I find a good mix of just foraging and hunting is how I like to do it. I will forage until I hit legendary in the contest, which is generally well before the contest ends. And then I will just go and hunt. I'll go in the water and catch some of those guys, or I will go into different areas that I wasn't in and try and get those guys, because leveling up your hunting is going to help your foraging a lot, just because a lot of the attributes that are on this island are used for foraging, because duh. But yeah, generally the gameplay loop is doing an Agatha contest until you're legendary on it, and then deciding what to do other than that, because obviously you can just keep foraging, you can get some more whispers, you can level your Heart of the Forest a little more by just getting tree gifts, or you can go and just hunt and do something in that regard so that you can level up that area of the island instead of just going for Heart of the Forest. But if you're being efficient, you should be participating in every contest that you can until you get legendary, and then you go do something else, rather than just, AFKing around, because the longer you put off doing the contests, the more annoying it's going to be behind people who are having a Jade Dragon, who are having the new foraging items that are unlocked in Agatha's shop and everything like that. It's going to be beneficial to do that as early as possible and just get into the Agatha contest, since it is so time locked, where most people are going to be able to complete legendary, but you have to complete so many of them where you just got to get going as soon as possible so you can finally forget about it when you're actually done. It really covers my beginner's guide of the foraging update. There's definitely a lot more content to be made and a lot more guides that I can make, but it's going to take some more playtime for me to actually be able to make those kind of videos. Let me know down below what you want to see from the foraging update content. I will definitely try and make things that you guys want to see, but that's going to do it for this one. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Peace.